What's up, Gator Nation? Welcome into the latest Rapid Reaction, coming to you live from the Swamp following Florida's 24-13 win over the UCF Knights. Florida's second straight win of the 2024 season. They improved to above 500 for the first time this year. They avenged their 2021 bowl game loss to UCF, although I don't know how much of a factor that was in tonight's game. I think, if anything, they were probably more motivated by KJ Jefferson's win last year with Arkansas than they were that 21 bowl game. But nonetheless, Florida gets the dub. Strong performance from the defense.
Yeah.
Good first half from the offense. Not a great second half from the offense, but they did what they needed to do. And I think more importantly, as Nick is going to write about, everybody told them talk is cheap. They spoke about how they had their best week of practice. Nick didn't believe it. A lot of Florida fans didn't believe it. And they came out and showed that they actually did improve during the bye week, Nick.
I had trust issues. We heard all offseason that the systems were in place. It was the best offseason. Things were flowing, that it was the best team he had. And then we watched the first month of the year. And it really felt like maybe you guys only play well when you practice against each other. The defense that we watched tonight, don't know where they've been, but if you can bottle that up, we might get funky the rest of the season. Might start changing our minds about everything. I thought Florida came out right away. Gus Malzahn said, they win the toss, says, let's put their offense out. The Swamp was electric tonight.
Yeah.
Put the offense out, make them quiet. Florida says, thank you. 15 plays, 75 yards, 7 minutes.
8 minutes, 7:58.
Touchdown. I think the offense in the first half with DJ Lagwa, he threw an absolute dime to Chim Dike. Graham Mertz looked good. The offensive line, which I wondered if they would win against UCF's defensive line.
They won.
Won. No sacks allowed. Montrell ran well.
They won the rushing battle.
Ran well. They held. UCF came in. So talked a lot about Florida, how bad they were on third down. UCF had the 18th best third down offense. 4 of 12. 4 of 12 here tonight. Overall, I want to say like a complete performance, but we'll talk about the offense.
They got shut out
in the second half. But as close to a complete performance we've seen from Florida this season.
Yeah, and to have 2 field goal drives to start both halves and then kind of rebound from that. They did give up the fourth quarter touchdown drive, but then they responded after that. Bryce Thornton gets the game-sealing interception. He also had the pass breakup in the end zone on the first drive to force the field goal. So shout out to Bryce. Shout out to Tank Hawkins, man. He stepped up today with Eugene Wilson out, Aiden Mizell out, and Marcus Burke out. They were down a lot of guys at that position.
And the way Billy Napier said it, it seemed like Marcus Burke was going to fill that role.
Yep.
Gets dinged up before the game, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, Tank, can you play tonight? Going to be featured pretty heavily.
Yeah.
I loved how they got the ball into his hands quickly.
Yeah.
This country was founded on speed and space, and Florida played to the Constitution there.
They did.
He's an exciting player. It'll be interesting when Eugene comes back, when Mizell comes back. How do you get everyone involved? Does Tank go back on the shelf? Because what you see here today, hey, he can help you win football games.
He can. I mean, targeted 8 times, led the team in receptions, also led the team in targets. So he clearly showed that he's able and willing to contribute. Florida also didn't have Trayon Webb and Katie Daniels, both of those guys. So their running back depth was a little bit lower. And they went to Jaden Baugh early and often. It was good to see him get, I think, 9 carries is what he finished with. And then Jacoby Jackson, man, he only got 3 touches, but he looked good on every single run, found the end zone again.
He's just finding the end zone. He's getting like the least number of carries, but just finding the end zone like a magnet.
They go to him in the red zone, man. He's good.
And listen, I was so wrong. My pick, talking about UCF, how much they run over Florida, so wrong. But I was right in the offseason when I said losing ETN was not going to be a huge issue. It was worse for the perception of the program than the production. We haven't even seen KD Daniels, and this is a guy who ran for 40,000 yards in high school. A really, really good player. Florida's running back room is more than fine, and they've been dinged up, and you're not seeing the production drop at all.
What did you like most about the defensive performance?
For me, the biggest thing was, one, stopping the run. And I think you kind of got the blueprint from Colorado.
Yeah.
No one else in the country has Travis Hunter. But Jason Marshall had an unbelievable pass breakup on a deep throw. I think Thornton played well. Castell played well. Devin Moore on the other side. You had to play corners on an island and stack the box. Florida being able to run fit, stop the run, like you said, outrush UCF, and then get off the field. That's been the biggest issue for Florida is you're not going to win many football games when you're playing 95 snaps on defense and in the 40s on offense. So Florida was flying to the ball. There was no hangover from last year, KJ Jefferson running wild. Just a really, really good performance. And it's frustrating, I guess, because they're certainly capable of doing that against Texas A&M, against Mississippi State, against LSU, Ole Miss, the teams that will come down the line. So maybe this game will serve as some confidence to them. Listen, definitely have talked a lot about their failures. So on a night when they look that good, just deliver their flowers.
Yeah, kudos. I think for me, the 5 sacks, that's the most they've had in the game this season. Don't necessarily think that UCF's offensive line will be one of the better ones that they play against, but nonetheless, you go against who lines up in front of you, and they whipped them kind of up front on both sides. I don't think Graham Mertz and DJ barely even got touched. Well, he did get the roughing the passer penalty. Now 2 games in a row where he's had that happen. So
I love Graham Mertz celebrating after penalties like that. He gets a roughing the passer, and he's just like, first down.
He also celebrated after a run, showing a little bit of mobility.
Graham Mertz has always been a dual threat quarterback, and if you don't recognize that, that's your fault.
Well, Nick, I don't know if we were ready to recognize or come to grips with maybe this college football season.
Yeah.
Today was a wild day in the sport. Alabama goes down. Tennessee goes down. We're watching Miami get crushed right now by Cal. And, I mean, let's be honest, Nick, after 3 weeks, everyone was ready for the season to be over and ready for a coaching change to happen. There's still a lot of games left to be played. The season can go sideways in a hurry for Florida. But it also goes to show you that you got to go out there and play these games.
Yeah.
And
maybe no one's good. Maybe every team in the country is bad.
I mean, I think nobody gave Florida a shot probably going into Rocky Top a couple weeks ago. Now you feel a little bit better about Florida going. They did beat this team last year. They had Joe Milton, and that helped.
But I will say this about Tennessee. They find new, exciting, and riveting ways to lose to Florida. To just snatch losses out of the jaws of victory.
But at the very least, it looks like Florida can be competitive enough that they don't just get blown out on the road. Now, again, they could, but between that game and how it looks now, and then, of course, Kentucky, I don't know what to expect with that matchup. That's still 2 weeks away. Next time the Gators are in the Swamp, like what Kentucky team are you going to get? Are you going to get the one that got blown out by South Carolina or the one that almost beat Georgia?
Well, Shane Beamer kind of just has Kentucky's number.
Yeah. Yes, he takes that game very personally.
Yeah.
But that was what Tyreek Sapp talked about in the locker room, in the media room afterward, was just like, hey, there's still a lot of ball left to be played. Today showed you in college football that teams that you think there's no chance that Florida's going to beat, you still got to go out there and play those games. I don't think nobody saw Vanderbilt beating Alabama today. Nobody saw Arkansas beating Tennessee. I don't know which coach it was, but he used to say those other guys are on scholarship too.
Yeah, it was Spurrier.
I think it might have been. Muschamp or McElwain. But we got a super chat from Trav who says, "How about them Gators, baby?"
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're bringing up all of these other things and like all these other games. Just enjoy a win. We hadn't had a football from Florida.
I'm enjoying the uncertainty of this college football season that we've
season's wild. Vandy, not used to winning games like that, played the audio from Nick Saban saying, other than Vanderbilt, every other place in the SEC, something like that. Other than Vanderbilt, every other place in the SEC is tough to play at. And then Vandy gets to just like run that through the PA system today. It'll be interesting to see what this week looks like as you get ready for your second road trip. Nice to have had kind of a dry run against a bad Mississippi State team. I think the biggest thing for me is, can the defense
keep it up,
bottle this and keep it up? It was a really, really good performance from those guys. Exciting almost. Are you excited about Florida football again?
I was watching the first few drives and seeing the way that they were playing. I think there was a stretch there. I wrote it in my game story where they, after the opening drive, UCF had 14 plays and gained just 44 yards until that Caleb Banks penalty. And then, which was a terrible call, some emotion from Napier. First time we've seen that on the sideline since, call it, what was the last time he acted like that?
His first season?
Yeah, it's coming up next.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
Season? I don't remember.
Tennessee.
I remember it, but I don't remember
Tennessee
why.
In Knoxville. He lost it his first trip there with the Gators. That's the first time that I've seen him act like that. And look, it put Florida in a bind, but they got out of that situation. They got another turnover on downs, and as Tyreek Sapp said after the game, that kind of fired up the defense to see. And look, I know they're fired up in Nashville. I loved in real time realizing with you that those goalposts were headed to Broadway. We looked up how far it was.
That looked to me and goes, how far is Broadway from the stadium? I'm like, 0.9 miles. He's like, I think they're bringing it there. I think they're bringing the goalpost to Broadway. That would be wild. That's crazier than Morgan Wallen throwing a chair off of one of the rooftop bars too.
Trav wants to know, why did Florida take their foot off the gas in the second half?
Yeah, I don't.
I think they intentionally did.
Yeah, maybe, but that's not a good answer because that's not, I just wrote, I was like, it looked like Florida. They scored on 4 of their first 6 drives. It looked like, hey, you can run away with this game.
Yeah.
This could be a game where you really blow it out. And then you go and you look at the second half, and I don't know if it's intentional. A lot of what I read and saw from fans was he goes conservative when he has a lead. Billy mentioned, well, we only had 3 drives. It's like, well, if you scored or extended drives and had long drives, which you did in the first half, maybe you would have more.
Well, and I think we can explain. I mean, their first drive of the second half, they get all the way in UCF territory, and Hayden Hansen gets called for holding. Kills that drive. Their second drive,
penalties were a bit of an issue today.
Yeah, second drive, which is, again, only in the fourth quarter, I want to say it was pretty quick. I don't think that they – yeah, there you go, 3 and out. So they had a penalty in UCF territory, a 3 and out, and then DJ gets his drive and is not able to do much with it. And that was their whole second half, really. The last time they got the ball was just,
little victory formation.
Little victory.
I haven't seen victory formation.
They did pick up the key third down conversion at the end to kind of ice it with Jaden Ball's run, but they just didn't they have the ball a lot. So
it was weird watching, like, UCF's down 3 scores, and they're in a bad spot because they're a run-first team. They want to run the ball, but, like, there's no urgency. They had a 5-minute drive in the third, fourth quarter, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, you've now made it a 2-possession game while taking 5 minutes off the clock. Good win. Like you said, you're going to face better opponents, but good win. Nobody except for UCF fans remembered or cared about the Gasparilla Bowl. And I think it was nice to put them back in their place. And say, listen,
Florida was underdogs at home.
Yeah.
And they proved Vegas wrong.
They're not wrong often.
Proved you wrong too, Nick.
Sure did.
Maybe you'll pick the Gators at Rocky Top.
Not going to.
Next Saturday. You're going to have to make a move at some point.
I think the season's lost. Last year I was on such a high
with
my picks. I think I'm 2-3 now. Terrible.
Well, the Gators are 2-1 without Trey Wilson. Won their last 2 games. Like you said, man, you get him back and Aiden Mizell and Burke with the way Tank has played. You got a lot of options at receiver, man. DK and Badger, those 2 guys have been great additions from the transfer portal. I think Florida is in a good place offensively, defensively, and special teams wise.
I mean, special teams. I'm not going to say it was the play of the game, but Jeremy Crawshaw's punt that stopped inches from the goal line and then stopped at the 3 might have been the play of the week.
It was up there. Trey Smack kept it from being an A performance from the.
He had the leg on that 53. Just pulled it a little bit.
Yeah, and then if you hit that, you're not shut out in the second half. Maybe you feel a little bit better about those results. But nonetheless, they get the result that they wanted, 24-13. The Gators again improved to over 500, which I think was key, considering how the season started with the 1-2 start. And now they go back for their second road trip of the season, Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll see what happens now that the Vols have suffered their first loss of the year. Add some intrigue to this matchup. So we will preview it for you guys at Gators Online all week long. We'll catch you with our Gators Online show on Friday. Until then, for Nick Del Torre, I'm Zach Alberti. See you guys then.